The series begins by showing a man named Wei Dao, who excitedly narrates a tale to a young boy named Hu Fei. It's about a legendary hero known as Wei Dao, a fearless warrior who fights for justice. Little does Hu Fei know that Wei Dao is none other than his own father. Back in the day, Wei Dao and his wife arrived at an inn seeking refuge. However, Wei Dao had countless enemies thirsting for his blood. As expected, a battle erupts right there in that very inn. Suddenly, a formidable swordsman named Mao Fang enters the scene, renowned for his unrivaled skills. Mao Fang challenges Wei Dao to a showdown, eager to prove his superiority. But the cries of Hu Fei, who was just a baby then, distract Wei Dao, forcing Mao Fang to postpone their clash for another time. The following day, the clash between the two warriors resumes atop a snow-covered mountain. Their duel is intense and evenly matched, lasting for several days. They exchange blows and techniques, pushing each other to their limits. Sadly, despite their valiant efforts, Wei Dao and his wife meet their tragic fate at the hands of Mao Fang. Years later, a woman named Shang dedicates herself to training her son in martial arts, fueled by a burning desire for revenge against Wei Dao and Mao Fang. During her training session, Shang senses someone spying on them. Reacting swiftly, she launches a surprise attack through the window with her secret weapon. To her surprise, the eavesdroppers turn out to be 13-year-old Hu Fei and the princess of Xingkong, Ma Chun. After their hasty escape, Hu Fei boasts about his martial prowess to Ma Chun, and the two engage in a friendly skirmish. However, it quickly becomes apparent that Ma Chun's skills overshadow Hu Fei's as she emerges victorious. Not long after, Ping encounters Hu Fei and immediately cautions him against revealing his martial abilities. It's crucial to keep Hu Fei's true identity as Wei Dao's son a secret. After some time had passed, Xingkong found himself waiting for the rain to stop. But out of nowhere, a horde of ruthless bandits, led by a man named Yanji, descended upon them. Yanji demanded that Xingkong surrender a precious item possessed by his army. However, Xingkong staunchly refused to yield, leading him to engage in a fierce duel with Yanji. Sadly, Yanji possessed 3 secret techniques that rendered Xingkong helpless and at his mercy. The clash between the two forces intensified. Xingkong's loyal guards fought valiantly to protect the treasured item from Yanji's marauders. In the midst of the chaos, Hu Fei fearlessly leaped into the fray, bravely confronting Yanji himself. Fortunately, just when all seemed lost, a serendipitous figure appeared on the scene, passing by the area. It was none other than Mao Fang, the formidable swordsman. In no time at all, Mao Fang swiftly incapacitated every single one of the robbers, coming to Xingkong's aid. Shang, who had been observing the events unfold, decided to express her gratitude to Mao Fang and extended an invitation to him. However, Mao Fang politely declined, revealing that he had urgent matters to attend to elsewhere. Upon hearing this, Shang generously offered her horse to Mao Fang, allowing him to borrow it for the time being. In another place, Hu Fei excitedly shared his admiration for the enigmatic stranger who had come to their aid, unknowingly referring to him as a hero. However, as soon as he spoke, Ping's face flushed with embarrassment. He revealed that the man was none other than Mao Fang, the very person responsible for the death of Hu Fei's father 13 years ago. Furthermore, the leader of the robbers, Yan Jin, was the one with ill intentions toward Hu Fei. At that moment, Yan Jin approached Ping, divulging the shocking news of Wei Dao's demise at the hands of Mao Fang's poisonous attack. Filled with panic, Yan Jin instructed Ping to gather their belongings swiftly. But instead of complying, Yan Jin struck Ping on the head, causing him to lose consciousness. Unbeknownst to Ping, Yan Jin's true motive was to steal Wei Dao's precious book of martial arts hidden within Hu Fei's cradle. Fortunately, Ping regained consciousness just in time and engaged in a desperate struggle with Yan Jin. However, their violent confrontation resulted in the book being torn into 2 pieces. Fueled by sheer determination, Ping snatched Hu Fei and fled, desperately trying to escape Yan Jin's clutches. Yet, as they raced away, Yan Jin launched a powerful attack, causing both Ping and Hu Fei to plummet into a treacherous abyss. Miraculously, against all odds, Ping and Hu Fei managed to survive, enduring the ordeal that haunted them to this day. In a different location, Mao Feng arrived at a specific destination. He intended to meet a master of poison in that place. However, the guards stationed there prevented Mao Feng from entering, informing him that their master was attending to a patient. Patiently, Mao Feng waited, his mind wandering back to the memories of his past. Surprisingly, the fierce battle he had once fought against Wei Dao to determine their superiority had actually forged a bond of friendship between the two swordsmen. During their conversation, Mao Feng confided in Wei Dao about his long-standing feud with the Jing Kingdom. He revealed that an official named Sang Min had been responsible for the deaths of Mao Feng's brothers. In response to this revelation, Wei Dao swiftly traveled to the capital of Jing, where he hunted down and killed Sang Min, who happened to be Shang's husband. To prove his triumph, Wei Dao presented Sang Min's head to Mao Feng as a token of revenge. Meanwhile, at Shang's residence, she entertained Sing Kong's visit. Shang asked Sing Kong to provide guidance for her son, who was practicing martial arts in the courtyard. However, in a surprising turn of events, instead of seeking instructions from Sing Kong, Shang cautioned her son, Sang Bao, to be cautious when demonstrating their family's martial skills in front of Sing Kong. Shang insisted that Sing Kong was an enemy of their family. On the other hand, Ma Chun invited her father to secretly explore the basement of Shang's house, a place she had previously discovered with Hu Fei. Within the basement, Sing Kong was taken aback to see two target boards used for training, bearing the names Wei Dao and Mao Feng. This unexpected finding prompted Sing Kong to immediately urge Ma Chun to leave the premises. When they left, Sing Kong disclosed to Ma Chun that he had once fought against Shang's husband, Sang Min, and was defeated by him. However, fate took a swift turn when Sang Min was subsequently killed by Wei Dao, only to be avenged by Mao Feng, resulting in the ultimate demise of Wei Dao himself. After some time had passed, Sang Bao handed a letter to Shang, revealing that the Jing royal military would soon arrive to assist in their mission to eliminate Sing Kong and Mao Feng. In due course, Shang warmly welcomed the arrival of the Jing royal military, led by General Fu Kong. Shang informed Fu Kong that Mao Feng would be visiting her house within the next 3 days to return her horse. During the night, Mao Feng finally met with the renowned poison master, Aijin. Mao Feng presented a handkerchief stained with the blood of Wei Dao, requesting Aijin to identify the poison used. Mao Feng recounted the events from 13 years ago, when he and Wei Dao engaged in a fierce duel. Mao Feng had managed to injure Wei Dao's sword arm, but shortly after, Wei Dao suddenly fell victim to poisoning. Witnessing this, Wei Dao's wife, in a desperate attempt to save her husband, wiped his blood with her handkerchief and even sucked out the poison, resulting in both of their tragic deaths. For the past 13 years, Mao Feng had tirelessly searched for clues and information regarding the source of the poison that had tainted Wei Dao's sword. However, he had yet to find any answers. Without providing much solace or insight, Aijin simply replied that he, too, did not know the identity of the poison's origin. Disheartened by this response, Mao Feng silently departed from the location, bidding no farewell to Aijin. On a separate note, Ping had managed to track down the whereabouts of Yan Jin. Determined to reclaim the stolen book of Hu Fei's family martial arts, Ping urged Hu Fei to accompany him in infiltrating Yan Jin's hideout. Despite their efforts, Ping was eventually caught by Yan Jin and his men. Helpless and outnumbered, Ping suffered relentless attacks from Yan Jin's henchmen. When Ping attempted to flee into the forest, an arrow shot by Yan Jin found its mark, mortally wounding Ping. With his last breath, Ping entrusted the martial arts book to Hu Fei, urging him to learn his father's skills from it and seek revenge in the future. Ping bid Hu Fei a final farewell, acknowledging the debt he owed to Wei Dao, who had once saved his life. In the morning, Hu Fei solemnly buried Ping's body. He hid the martial arts book in the roots of a tree before escaping from Yan Jin and his men. However, Hu Fei found himself cornered, with Yan Jin and his men closing in. Without hesitation, Hu Fei leaped into the rushing river below, attempting to escape their clutches. Fortunately, Mao Feng, on his way to return the borrowed horse to the Shang family, noticed Hu Fei struggling in the water. After some time, Hu Fei regained consciousness, startled to find himself face to face with Mao Feng. Driven by anger and grief, Hu Fei attacked Mao Feng, but his efforts were effortlessly thwarted by the skilled swordsman. Mao Feng assured Hu Fei that he could hold onto his hatred for him until a later time, while Yan Jin watched from a distance. It became evident that Yan Jin desired the return of Hu Fei's family martial arts book, but was wary of confronting Mao Feng directly. In the meantime, within the Shang family's residence, the formidable warriors from the Jin Kingdom had already arrived. Shang presented gifts to each of them, expressing her gratitude. She also made a special request to Chen Yu, one of the warriors and Fu Kong's trusted confidant. Shang hoped that Chen Yu could assist her in persuading Fu Kong to grant her son, Sang Bao, a position within the capital of Jing. Sometime later, Mao Feng arrived at Shang's house to return the borrowed horse and brought along Hu Fei, whom he had saved from the river. Shang once again urged Mao Feng to attend the banquet, and eventually he relented. Shang introduced Mao Feng to the warriors under Fu Kong's command. Shortly after, Fu Kong himself entered the banquet, introducing himself to Mao Feng. Unexpectedly, Fu Kong attempted to persuade Mao Feng to serve the Jin Kingdom. However, Mao Feng firmly declined the offer. This greatly annoyed Fu Kong, who abruptly left the banquet. Concerned, Shang followed Fu Kong to express her discontent with his decision, accompanied by Chen Yu. Shang felt that the loyalty her late husband had shown to Fu Kong in the past was not duly acknowledged. Shang implored Fu Kong and his men to eliminate Mao Feng. In response, Chen Yu reprimanded Shang for attempting to interfere with his master's decision. Meanwhile, Hu Fei, who had regained consciousness, was startled by the presence of Yan Jin, who had stealthily infiltrated the Shang residence. Hu Fei was assaulted and threatened by Yan Jin, forced to reveal the existence of his family's martial arts book. However, Hu Fei lied, claiming that he had hidden the book in another room within the house. While on the run, Hu Fei managed to elude Yan Jin. Coincidentally, Yan Jin crossed paths with Shang, who was still filled with anger. Surprisingly, the two recognized each other and had a previous association. Shang had previously provided Yan Jin with information to facilitate the robbery of Sing Kong's group. Upon returning to the banquet hall, Shang became infuriated with the warrior Fu Kong, who appeared fearful of facing Mao Feng. When Chen Yu returned to the scene, he immediately challenged Mao Feng, igniting a fierce battle. Fu Kong's warriors joined in the attack, but they were all ultimately defeated. Realizing the futility of their efforts, they chose to retreat and avoid further provocation from Mao Feng. Shang, observing the events from an adjacent room, felt immense disappointment. However, she had anticipated such a turn of events and had prepared a contingency plan. In response, she ordered her men to activate a lever, sealing off all exits from the banquet room with a steel door. Shang then confronted Mao Feng, revealing her true identity as Sang Min's widow seeking revenge against Mao Feng and Xing Kong. Shang placed the blame on Xing Kong, asserting that their previous duel had drained Sang Min's energy, leading to his subsequent defeat at the hands of Wei Dao. Furthermore, Shang expressed her disappointment in the warriors under Fu Kong's command, branding them as cowards for their reluctance to kill Mao Feng. She threatened to burn them all alive. Left with no alternative, the warriors of the Jin Kingdom united and attempted to take Mao Feng's life. On the other side, Hu Fei, still being pursued by Yan Jin, found himself trapped in a basement. Completely cornered, Hu Fei, in a desperate situation, recalled the martial arts techniques he had learned from the book, using them to turn the tide. When Hu Fei successfully defeated Yan Jin and made his way out of the room, he encountered Mao Feng and the other warriors who had been confined. Determined to prevent anyone else from taking Mao Feng's life, Hu Fei engaged in a fierce battle with Shang's warriors, ensuring Mao Feng's safety. To everyone's surprise, Hu Fei emerged victorious against Shang and her men. Hu Fei noticed the mechanical lever for the steel door in a nearby room and swiftly operated it. As the steel door opened, Mao Feng and the others were freed, but tragically, the carefree Sing Kong fell victim to Shang's treacherous attack. The following day, Hu Fei returned to the forest to retrieve the martial arts book he had hidden. He made a solemn promise that once he had mastered his father's martial arts, he would seek to avenge his father's death by killing Mao Fang. From that day onward, Hu Fei dedicated himself to rigorous training, following the instructions outlined in his father's martial arts book. 4 years later, Hu Fei had blossomed into a handsome swordsman known for his honesty and innocence. Meanwhile, Mao Fang found himself visiting the same inn where he had first encountered his best friend, Wei Dao. Coincidentally, an imperial official named Nan arrived at the inn, accompanied by his daughter Nan Lan. They were en route to the capital, Jing, to present gifts to the emperor. Upon their arrival, Nan instructed his men to dismiss the guests who were occupying the seats in the inn. Mao Fang quietly relocated to a table in the back, allowing Nan and his friends, including Zhang, to occupy the front seats. The object Nan intended to present to the emperor turned out to be a crescent sword, which he claimed was exceptionally sharp. However, 2 individuals secretly conspiring with Zhenang belittled the crescent sword, boasting that the sword they possessed was even sharper. Zhang, pretending to defend Nan's honor, fearlessly drew the crescent sword and proceeded to strike the seemingly ordinary blade held by the other party. To everyone's astonishment, the sword struck back, severing Nan's neck and revealing that all the inn's visitors were actually Zhang's accomplices. Zhang and his men swiftly aimed their weapons at Mao Fang, and the soldiers accompanied Nan. Despite being outnumbered, Mao Fang effortlessly defeated the robbers before him. Unfortunately, Mao Fang was struck by a poisoned arrow unleashed by Zhang, causing his body to grow heavy. Nevertheless, Mao Fang summoned his remaining strength and successfully killed Zhenang. Nan Lan, who had previously fainted upon witnessing her father's gruesome demise, regained consciousness and attempted to aid Mao Fang by sucking out the poison from his body. This act reminded Mao Fang of the sacrifice Wei Dao's wife had made for her husband. Mao Fang prevented Nan Lan from doing so, assuring her that he possessed the antidote. However, Mao Fang was once again attacked while still under the effects of the poison. Despite his weakened state, Mao Fang valiantly fought to protect Nan Lan. Ultimately, he managed to lead her away from the treacherous scene. They sought refuge in a nearby cave, which turned out to be the resting place of Mao Fang's dear friend, Wei Dao, and his wife. In the Jing royal palace, Emperor Qianlong was in a distressed state, having realized that the stolen sword, intended as a gift, had been taken. In his frustration, Emperor Qianlong dismissed officials whom he deemed incapable of fulfilling their duties. He sensed that his kingdom remained vulnerable to further catastrophes and potential uprisings from warriors. A few days later, Fu Kong approached Emperor Qianlong with the idea of hosting a martial arts tournament to determine the chief of the martial world. Qianlong praised Fu Kong's suggestion, seeing it as an opportunity for the troubled warriors of the country to eliminate one another in the competition. Word of the martial tournament reached Gunnong, the leader of the Celestial Dragon sect. Calmly, Gunnong analyzed the motives behind the royal decision, seeking to understand the true intentions of the Jing kingdom. Meanwhile, Hu Fei made his way to Foshan City, Ping's hometown. It had been 5 years since Ping's passing, and upon reaching the city's border, Hu Fei scattered Ping's ashes, promising to seek out Mao Fang to avenge his parents. Taking a brief rest at the edge of the forest, Hu Fei encountered a horsewoman named Yuan Zi from the Tan San sect. Yuan Zi accidentally bumped into Hu Fei as she passed by. Emotionally stirred, Hu Fei called upon his horse to give chase. However, his riding skills proved inferior to Yuan Zi's, leading to Hu Fei falling in the midst of the pursuit. Fortunately, Hu Fei managed to track down Yuan Zi at a waterfall. Realizing that she was being followed, Yuan Zi launched an attack on Hu Fei. In response, Hu Fei defended himself, explaining that he had become dirty due to Yuan Zi's careless actions. However, Yuan Zi cleverly deceived Hu Fei and made off with his belongings. Yuan Zi instructed Hu Fei to find her in Foshan City. Half naked, Hu Fei covertly acquired the clothing of a scarecrow. With his beggar-like appearance, Hu Fei arrived in Foshan City and found himself struggling to scrounge for leftovers alongside other beggars. Desperately craving sustenance, Hu Fei managed to obtain a dumpling, which he ultimately sacrificed for 2 starving beggar children. After confiscating Hu Fei's supplies, Yuan Zi instead squandered his money on treating the patrons at the tavern. However, when she came across Hu Fei's Kung Fu guidebook, she chose to return it to his bag. Curiosity piqued, Yuan Zi eavesdropped on people discussing the tragic events surrounding the Zhang family. Simultaneously, the head of the Fang family accused Zhang and his wife of stealing geese from their family. Zhang and his wife vehemently defended themselves, claiming that they were being falsely accused. However, Fang Yi, the eldest son of the Fang family, confronted the regent of Foshan in person. Using his family's influence, Fang Yi pressured the regent to coerce Zhang into confessing to the theft of a swan belonging to the Fang family. Under the pressure exerted by the powerful Fang family in Foshan City, the regent had no choice but to punish Zhang and force him to admit his alleged actions. In an attempt to prove her innocence, Wei, Zhang's wife, takes her 2 sons to a Buddhist temple. Overwhelmed by despair, Wei draws a sword from the audience and unsheathes it in front of her younger son. Meanwhile, Yuan Zi grows increasingly curious about the case and seeks information from fellow diners. 2 shopkeepers inform Yuan Zi that the Fang family holds immense power in Foshan City, controlling nearly all the businesses within its boundaries. The shopkeepers recount how the conflict began when the Fang family targeted the agricultural land worked by Zhang. Despite Zhang's refusal to sell, the family falsely accused him of stealing their swan. Depressed by the situation, Wei takes drastic measures by displaying snail meat from her younger son's intestines, disproving the claim that he consumed swan meat. However, the head caretaker of the Fang family insists that Zhang's elder son had consumed the stolen goose meat. Frightened, the elder son flees, pursued by the Fang family's guards. Fortunately, Hu Fei appears and rescues the child, while Yuan Zi arrives at the scene as well. Together, Hu Fei and Yuan Zi decide to assist the Zhang family and devise a plan to expose the Fang family's misdeeds by targeting their business ventures. In their revolt against the Fang family, Hu Fei and Yuan Zi disrupt the operations of a tavern owned by the family. They also visit a pawn shop under the Fang family's control, demanding 1,000 silver coins. Furthermore, they enter a gambling establishment managed by the Fang family and place a large bet of $1,000. Their strategic moves catch the attention of Fang Yi, the eldest son of the Fang family. In a twist of events, Fang Yi arrives at the casino and engages in a gambling match against Hu Fei and Yuan Zi. However, when Yuan Zi emerges as the victor, Fang Yi refuses to accept his defeat and attempts to cheat. Hu Fei quickly intervenes and attacks Fang Yi, subsequently bringing him to the Buddhist temple, where Wei had previously displayed her younger son's severed intestines. In the meantime, Fang's family manager and his men arrive to protect Fang Yi, but Hu Fei and Yuan Zi easily overcome them in battle. Following the confrontation, the head caretaker of the Fang family humbly begs for forgiveness. Shortly after, the head of the Fang family, Fang Tian, arrives and introduces himself to Hu Fei and Yuan Zi. Contrary to his son Fang Yi, Fang Tian displays qualities of righteousness and integrity. He expresses his anger towards Fang Yi and the family manager, apologizing to everyone, particularly the Zhang family, for the false accusations made against them. Fang Tian then orders the regent of Foshan to bring Zhang to the scene for justice to be served. When Zhang arrives, Fang Tian kneels before him, offering a sincere apology for his son's wrongdoing. Additionally, Fang Tian orders Fang Yi to stand trial for his crimes, while Fang Yi is to be arrested and imprisoned. Hu Fei gains confidence in Fang Tian's commitment to delivering justice for the Zhang family. However, Yuan Zi remains skeptical of Fang Tian's intentions. The story takes a turn as Mao Fang and Nan Lan, now married, enjoy a peaceful life with their newborn son. However, their tranquility is interrupted when Mao Fang announces his plan to investigate the poison maker responsible for Wei Dao's harm. He visits his friend Gi Nam, who presents a gift to celebrate Mao Fang's daughter. Realizing the dangers that surround Mao Fang's family, Guinong advises him to entrust the safety of Nanlan and their daughter to him. Mao Feng reluctantly leaves his wife and daughter under Guinong's care. On the other hand, Hu Fei continues to live with the grateful Zhang family. Zhang's eldest son requests Hu Fei to teach him martial arts so that he can protect his parents. In a different setting, Fang Yi remains imprisoned but receives a visit from Fang Tian. Fang Tian advises his son to be cunning and patient when dealing with formidable adversaries like Hu Fei and Yuan Zi, emphasizing the importance of intelligence and strategy in such situations. In a turn of events, Fang Tian extends an invitation to Hu Fei and the Zhang family to a banquet. During the gathering, Fang Tian repeatedly apologizes for his past actions and offers monetary compensation to Zhang. Meanwhile, Yuan Zai returns to the Tan San sect headquarters and is unexpectedly attacked by her former teacher, Bai Xiao. Bai Xiao advises Yuan Zi against seeking revenge on Fang Tian, revealing that Yuan Zi shares his bloodline. Yuan Zi roams the streets of the sect at night, reflecting on her mother's tragic story. Her mother had worked as a waitress in the Fang family's household and was violated by Fang Tian. As a result, Yuan Zi's mother was cast out and falsely accused of seducing Fang Tian. Elsewhere, Zhang and his son become intoxicated and lose consciousness, while Hu Fei unknowingly drinks wine poisoned by Fang Tian. Fang Tian then invites Hu Fei to view a collection of signboards featuring all his enemies. Soon after, Hu Fei becomes momentarily disoriented and falls unconscious. In a harrowing turn of events, Hu Fei awoke to find his body drenched in bloodstains. To his horror, he discovered the lifeless bodies of Zhang and his son lying next to him. Before he could process the tragedy, Imperial soldiers stormed in and apprehended Hu Fei, accusing him of heinous crimes. Meanwhile, at Guinong's headquarters, Nanlan struggled to feed her hungry daughter, whose cries filled the room. Guinong hurriedly entered, soothing the distressed child in his arms, before leaving Nanlan's side to meet with his trusted associate Tao. Tao presented Guinong with a report on Mao Feng's activities. It was revealed that Guinong had secretly dispatched spies to monitor Mao Feng's every move as he delved into the mysterious death of Wei Dao. In the bustling city of Foshan, Hu Fei found himself standing trial in front of the regent of Foshan, his mouth gagged with wooden rods. He had been unjustly accused of murdering Zhang and his son, with false claims that they fought over money given by Fang Tian. Trapped and unable to defend himself, Hu Fei faced the grim prospect of a death sentence. Awakening in his prison cell, he endured excruciating pain from his broken leg. Soon after, the haughty chief warden arrived, demanding to know the whereabouts of Yuan Zi. Seizing an opportunity, Hu Fei feigned cooperation, pretending to disclose information about Yuan Zi's location, only to surprise the warden by sinking his teeth into the man's earlobe. When Nanlan anxiously awaited news of Mao Feng's return, she implored Guinong to gather any information about her husband's whereabouts. In the midst of this, Tao rushed in with a distressed expression, urgently seeking a private conversation with Guinong in the courtyard of his residence. Unbeknownst to them, Nanlan, driven by curiosity, discreetly eavesdropped on their discussion. It was then that Tao delivered the devastating news of Mao Feng's demise, his life taken by a formidable swordsman. Overwhelmed by grief, Nanlan fainted upon hearing the tragic revelation. Back in Foshan City, several days had passed, and Fang Tian's hope of Yuan Zi coming to rescue Hu Fei had been in vain. Yuan Zi remained absent. The warden, bearing the scars of Hu Fei's bite, arrived with a hooded bag, forewarning Hu Fei of his impending execution scheduled for the following day. Adding insult to injury, Fang Yi too paid a visit to the prison, taking pleasure in taunting Hu Fei while reminding him that tomorrow would mark his final moments. The day of Hu Fei's execution had finally arrived, drawing a crowd of onlookers eager to witness the event. As Hu Fei was brought onto the stage, bound by a rope, the executioners prepared to carry out the hanging. However, just as the execution was about to commence, a signboard bearing the names of the prison officials unexpectedly fell, causing a commotion among the officers. In the midst of the chaos, they swiftly removed the hood that concealed the condemned person, only to discover that it was not Hu Fei, but rather the chief warden himself who had met his demise. This turn of events left Fang Tian seething with anger, directing his fury towards the bewildered Foshan regent, who professed his ignorance about the incident. It was revealed that Yuan Zi had managed to infiltrate the prison, and, driven by her frustration at Hu Fei's disbelief in Fang Tian's true nature, had cast a curse upon him. In the midst of the confusion, Hu Fei, who had unknowingly fallen into Fang Tian's deceitful trap, collapsed, while Yuan Zi skillfully incapacitated the prison warden, orchestrating a swap that freed Hu Fei from his imminent execution. On the other side, Hu Fei was still unconscious and was treated by Yuan Zi near the waterfall. Coincidentally, the two of them met a physician named Xu who was passing by. Xu was also the physician who cared for Zhang's wife Wei. Xu told Hu Fei and Yuan Zi that the two of them had become fugitives and warned them that it wasn't safe to stay near the Foshan region. Luckily, Xu was willing to help the two of them hide. Meanwhile, Nan Lan, recovering from depression after hearing the news of Mao Fang's death, could only lie ill and mourn her fate. However, Guinong looked very attentive to Nan Lan and proposed that she could permanently stay in his house. Guinong even pursued music and painting to please Nan Lan and bring her joy. In another part of the story, Fang Tian and Fang Yi are filled with fear after experiencing Hu Fei's retaliation. They devise a plan to capture Wei as bait in order to lure Hu Fei and Yuan Zi out. Eventually, they succeed in capturing Wei and Xu, who were out collecting herbs. Meanwhile, Yuan Zi tends to Hu Fei's injuries by securing his legs with bamboo supports. Back in Foshan City, the captured healer Xu is used as a hostage to force Hu Fei and Yuan Zi to come out and save him. Yuan Zi, observing from a distance, carefully assesses the situation and swiftly attacks the mercenaries to rescue Xu and Wei. However, she is unable to save Wei from being left behind due to the overwhelming number of mercenaries. In the evening, Yuan Zi brings Xu to their hideout, where she is greeted by Hu Fei. After sharing what had transpired, Yuan Zi suggests that Hu Fei and Xu seek advanced treatment for Hu Fei's leg at the Y sect in order to prevent any disability. Yuan Zi gives Hu Fei a green-colored jade, explaining that showing it to the sect master at Y sect will guarantee their assistance. The next day, Hu Fei and Xu set off on their journey to the Y sect. However, during their conversation, Kakshu inadvertently mentions that Yuan Zi may be planning something reckless, raising suspicions that she intends to launch a solo attack on the Fang family headquarters. Concerned for Yuan Zi's safety, Hu Fei changes his plans and heads straight back to the Fang family. On the other hand, Yuan Zi does return to save Wei. She boldly infiltrates the office of the Foshan regent and holds him hostage, demanding the release of Wei in exchange. However, Yuan Zi underestimated the situation as the place is heavily guarded by the Fang family mercenaries. Fang Yi refuses to negotiate, considering the Foshan region insignificant and worthless. Yuan Zi finds herself facing a formidable force of mercenaries. Meanwhile, Hu Fei reaches the gates of Foshan City, but is confronted by a group of mercenaries blocking his path. Despite his injured leg, Hu Fei emerges victorious in the battle. However, the residents of Foshan City, threatened by Fang Tian, beg Hu Fei not to proceed as they fear their homes will be burned. Caught between the residents' pleas and the returning mercenaries, Hu Fei feels anguished by the innocent victims. Determined, he pushes through the mercenaries and continues his way. Eventually, Hu Fei is joined by Yuan Zi, who scolds him for his reckless decision to return with his injured leg. Despite sustaining injuries, their combined efforts result in the defeat of all the Fang family mercenaries. However, Fang Tian and Fang Yi were relentless in their pursuit of killing the two swordsmen, Hu Fei and Yuan Zi. To further their malicious plans, Fang Tian ordered the residents to attack Hu Fei and Yuan Zi, tempting them with promises of riches in the form of silver and gold coins. The residents, enticed by the immediate rewards, were initially swayed to carry out Fang Tian's orders. But amidst the chaos, a young boy whom Hu Fei had previously saved stepped forward to defend the swordsman. His bravery inspired the other residents, emboldening them to stand up against the tyranny of the Fang family. In the midst of it all, Wei, who had regained consciousness, mistook the boy for her own son and felt a glimmer of hope. However, Fang Ni, filled with rage at the resident's defiance, drew his bow and shot an arrow at Wei, cruelly ending her life on the stage. Fang Tian, realizing the gravity of his son's mistake, tried to intervene and rectify the situation, but the enraged residents turned on them. The people, now united against the Fang family's tyranny, launched a fierce attack on their stronghold. In the face of the residents' relentless assault, Fang Tian and Fang Niai had no choice but to flee Foshan City, abandoning their wealth and power. They realized that their reign of terror had come to an end, and they could no longer reside in a place they had once controlled with impunity. After bidding farewell to the grateful residents of Foshan City, Yuan Zi, with tears in her eyes, tended to the injured Hu Fei. The following day, the two heroes, hailed by the people for liberating the city from the Fang family's oppression, were accompanied by the residents as they made their way to seek further treatment. Yuan Zi, determined to find healing for Hu Fei, led him to the renowned Y sect. While at the Y sect headquarters, the disciples were in mourning over the recent loss of their leader, Long. Outside the headquarters, Sang Bao, the son of Shang, and an official named Yu arrived to deliver news about an upcoming martial arts tournament organized by Commander-in-Chief Fu Kong. The tournament was scheduled to take place in 3 months' time. Sensing the opportunity, Sang Bao advised the disciples of the Y sect to swiftly select a new chairman to represent them in the upcoming competition. Back at the foot of the Y sect mountain, Yuan Zi mustered her strength to climb the stairs, supporting the injured Hu Fei every step of the way. It was a grueling ascent, and Yuan Zi reached the top utterly exhausted. In her weary state, she pleaded with the guards, claiming her familiarity with the late Y sect leader, Lung, and expressed her desire to see him. Inside the Y sect headquarters, Yuan Zi was informed by the guards that Lung, her beloved teacher, had passed away. Though disheartened, Yuan Zi persisted in her desire to pay her final respects. However, she was denied entry. Determined to honor her teacher, Yuan Zi intervened in the ongoing fight among the senior disciples, competing for the position of the next Y sect head. She disrupted the match and made her way to Lung's altar. Challenging the 3 disrespectful senior disciples who were vying for power during Lung's funeral procession, Yuan Zi revealed her true identity as a disciple of Lung and demonstrated her mastery of the Y sect's martial arts. She argued that she had just as much right as the other disciples to claim the position of sect head. Ultimately, Yuan Zi emerged victorious from the confrontation. However, Senior Master Liu Chen arrived and refused to accept the sudden appearance of an outsider contending for the position of sect head. Liu Chen decided to test Yuan Zi's claim by engaging her in a fierce battle atop a precarious bowl. The rules were simple. If the bowl broke or either participant's feet touched the ground, they would be declared the loser. After a grueling struggle, Yuan Zi revealed a green-colored jade given to her by Lung. Recognizing the truth of her words, Liu Chen conceded and welcomed Yuan Zi as the new head of the Y sect. Liu Chen revealed that Lung had informed him about a talented disciple who was entrusted with a green-colored jade. It became evident to him that the disciple in question was none other than Yuan Zi. Meanwhile, Nan Lan and Gainong's bond deepened over time, and love began to blossom between them. However, their happiness was interrupted by the unexpected return of Mao Fang. Mao Fang took Nan Lan back home without questioning her about her relationship with Gainong. During their reunion, Nan Lan confessed that she had received news of Mao Fang's demise all this time, leaving her deeply saddened. Liu Chen then approached Yuan Zi and expressed his concerns about the lack of skill in his 3 disciples. He requested Yuan Zi to temporarily assume the position of Y sect head, even though Yuan Zi had no desire for the role. Liu Chen persuaded Yuan Zi, assuring her that the 3 disciples would improve in the coming years. Then Yuan Zi could step down from the position. Shortly after, Sang Bao and Yu arrived to deliver an invitation to a martial arts tournament organized by Jing's kingdom. However, Yuan Zi declined the invitation and asked them to return the Y sect heirlooms they had received from the first and second disciples of Liu Chen. As a result, Sang Bao and Yu were expelled from the Y sect. While in the palace, Fu Kong shared his struggle to convince martial arts colleges to participate in the tournament. Many colleges were hesitant due to their affiliation with Kung Fu college societies. Fu Kong suspected that the reluctance stemmed from the fear of martial artists killing each other. However, Qian Long reminded Fu Kong that besides promoting conflict, the tournament also aimed to recruit martial artists to serve Jing's kingdom. In the meantime, Gui Nong and Tao make their way to Mao Feng's house, where Tao reflects on the danger Gui Nong put himself in by approaching Nan Lan, Mao Feng's wife. Gui Nong scolds Tao for spreading the false news of Mao Feng's death earlier. Upon their arrival, Gui Nong is taken aback when Nan Lan informs him that their daughter has a fever and Mao Feng is not at home. Seeing Gui Nong's care and love for their daughter, Nan Lan is deeply moved by his kindness throughout their time together. Gui Nong's visit was merely to deliver Nan Lan's belongings left behind in the Sky Dragon sect's residence. As Gui Nong prepares to leave, Nan Lan asks him to let go of their past and move on. However, just as Gui Nong is about to depart, Nan Lan's daughter unexpectedly calls him father. Later on, Mao Feng returns home to find a farewell letter from Nan Lan, who has decided to leave him. Overwhelmed with emotions, Mao Feng mounts his horse and chases after her. Gui Nong, who is accompanying Nan Lan, is pursued by Mao Feng. Gui Nong dismounts his chariot to confront Mao Feng, who remains silent, sword in hand. Unable to express his complicated feelings to Nan Lan, Gui Nong sacrifices his life, offering it to Mao Feng. When Mao Feng prepares to strike Gui Nong, Nan Lan steps forward and finally releases her pent-up emotions. She expresses her deep-seated dissatisfaction with Mao Feng, feeling that he prioritized his friends and the martial world over her and their daughter. On the other side, Hu Fei's leg receives much-needed treatment using special medicine from the Y sect. Mao Feng continues to follow Nan Lan until they reach Gui Nong's house. The disciples of the Celestial Dragon sect panic and attempt to stop Mao Feng, but he resists drawing his sword and entering Gui Nong's house. Mao Feng promises not to disturb Gui Nong and Nan Lan any longer, as he only desires to take his daughter. He quickly departs from the scene. Sometime later, Hu Fei wakes up and finds Yuanzi sleeping beside him. As soon as she wakes up, Yuanzi leaves the room. Shortly after, Liu Chen enters Hu Fei's room to provide treatment. Liu Chen tells Hu Fei about the tremendous sacrifice Yuanzi made to bring him to the mountaintop, climbing thousands of stairs while dragging him along. Yuanzi's knees and legs were injured in the process. On the other hand, Tao informs Gui Nong about the martial arts tournament held by the Jing Kingdom. Surprisingly, the Heavenly Dragon sect has not received an invitation yet. Upon learning this, Gui Nong decides to travel to the capital, Foshan, to meet with Fu Kong. As Hu Fei's legs gradually recover, he goes to the front gate to witness the number of steps Yuanzi climbed while bringing him to their current location. Hu Fei is deeply moved by Yuanzi's sacrifice. Soon after, Yuanzi meets Hu Fei again after returning from teaching Liu Chen's disciples. Anxious about her well-being, Hu Fei asks about the condition of her knees and expresses his gratitude towards her. To everyone's surprise, a fire broke out in the Y sect's flower cultivation garden. Liu Chen was shocked to learn that his second disciple was responsible for the fire and had just joined the sect. The garden, which contained the flowers that could heal Hu Fei's leg, was completely destroyed. Yuanzi felt devastated by the loss, knowing that Hu Fei might not be able to receive the healing potion anymore. Hu Fei tried to comfort Yuanzi by saying he didn't mind if his legs remained deformed, but this only made her angry. In the evening, Yuanzi ventured into the burnt garden, hoping to find any remaining flowers. Resigned to the bitter reality, she could only cry. However, Liu Chen's third disciple discovered one surviving flower pot that had been kept in Lung's room for a long time. Liu Chen explained to Yuanzi about the flower's blooming cycle. Determined to heal Hu Fei's leg, Yuanzi stayed alone, waiting for the flower to bloom. After a night of waiting, the flower finally bloomed, ready to be used to restore Hu Fei's leg. In the meantime, Gunnong had arrived in the capital of Jing and was trying to establish connections with officials in order to meet Fu Kong. Eventually, Gunnong succeeded in meeting Fu Kong. However, Fu Kong underestimated Gunnong and was more interested in recruiting Mao Fang to work for the kingdom. Fu Kong assigned Gunnong a mission to persuade Mao Fang to serve Emperor Qianlong. On the other side, Hu Fei's recovery was well underway, and he and Yuan Zi decided to leave the Y sect. In a gesture of gratitude, Hu Fei insisted on carrying Yuan Zi down the stairs, expressing his appreciation for her selflessness. Meanwhile, Fang Tian and Fang Yi continued their escape, but Fang Yi, who had become spoiled, claimed to be unable to walk any further. Touched by his son's plight, Fang Tian lovingly carried Fang Yi. However, their journey took an unexpected turn when they encountered armed mountain robbers. To Fang Tian's delight, the leader of the robbers, Liao Zhao, revealed his face and turned out to be an old friend. Liao Zhao took Fang Tian and Fang Yi to his headquarters, where they were given food and shelter. In gratitude, Fang Tian presented Liao Zhao with a large chest of silver coins to distribute among his followers. Fang Yi questioned his father's faithfulness despite their limited wealth. Fang Tian explained that while their material possessions could be replenished, his position as a leader needed to be protected. He also highlighted Liao Zhao's ethical character, which resonated with Fang Tian. In the bustling market, Mao Fang faced rejection after rejection as he tried to trade his vegetables for meat. However, his luck changed when he encountered a kind-hearted grandmother who purchased all his vegetables. Unbeknownst to Mao Fang, he was being watched by Nanlan's maid Miao, who longed for her mistress's daughter. As a token of gratitude, Mao Fang entrusted his daughter to the care of the grandmother temporarily, allowing him to assist her with various chores. Seizing the opportunity, Nanlan stealthily visited the grandmother's house, yearning for a glimpse of her daughter. Miao informed the grandmother about Mao Fang and Nanlan's relationship, seeking her assistance in keeping it a secret from Mao Fang. Sometime later, after completing his tasks and preparing to take his daughter home, the grandmother advised Mao Fang to visit the city again and leave his daughter with her. On the other hand, in the town of Bai, a fortune teller performed a ritual prophecy. The prophecy was directed at Rui, a martial arts master from the Nine Dragon sect, who planned to travel to the capital via waterway. The prophecy revealed an auspicious time for Rui's journey and warned that no other ships should set sail before Rui. At the same time, Hu Fei and Yuan Zi find themselves in Bai City, intending to rent a boat for their journey. However, they are informed by the boat charterer that no ships are allowed to sail due to Rui's orders. Determined to challenge this restriction, Hu Fei and Yuan Zi head to the harbor to confront Rui. Upon their arrival, they deliberately provoke a commotion, injuring the disciples of the Nine Dragons sect who fiercely defend their master. A battle ensues at the port, with Hu Fei and Yuan Zi facing off against Rui's disciples. On the other side, Nanlan seizes the opportunity to visit her daughter at her grandmother's house. However, Mao Fang finishes his work earlier than expected and catches Nanlan in the act. Without saying a word, Mao Fang swiftly takes his daughter away, leaving Nanlan in deep sorrow once again. Adding to her grief, Nanlan tragically suffers a miscarriage, burdened by the weight of her sadness and the knowledge of her unborn child conceived with Gunnong. In the pouring rain, Hu Fei and Yuan Zi sought refuge in an abandoned temple. Concerned for Yuan Zi's well-being, Hu Fei urged her to change into dry clothes. Suddenly, the sound of galloping horses reached their ears. To their surprise, it was Fang Tian's group seeking shelter in the same temple. A battle ensued, and Hu Fei emerged victorious, defeating Liao Zhao's forces and leaving Fang Tian and Fang Yi behind. Fang Tian pleaded for Hu Fei's forgiveness and begged him to spare Fang Yi's life while offering his own. Hu Fei, consumed by anger over the Zhang family's massacre orchestrated by Fang Tian, initially desired revenge. However, to save Fang Yi, Fang Tian chose to take his own life. Just as he was about to do so, Yuan Zi, who had changed her clothes, intervened and prevented the tragedy from unfolding. She drove Fang Tian and Fang Yi away. Hu Fei, determined to pursue and kill Fang Tian, found himself confronted by Yuanzi. Despite his relentless efforts, Yuanzi thwarted him with her whip, blocking his path. Frustrated and filled with rage, Hu Fei shouted at Yuanzi, demanding an explanation for her actions. However, Yuanzi remained silent and left Hu Fei standing alone, wrestling with his emotions and questioning Yuanzi's true intentions. Under the cover of darkness, Guinong arrived at a hidden tomb. Inside, he uncovered a coffin that held the remains of a man known as the poison god, Jimong. Guinong beseeched Jimong to create a poison capable of killing Mao Feng, as Mao Feng's actions had caused Nanlan to miscarry their child. Recalling the past when Guinong had aided him, Jimong revealed the poison of the 7 hearts that he had been developing. However, the poison was still far from being perfect. Jimong explained that among all the poisons in existence, the 7 hearts poison was exceptionally potent and virtually incurable, reigning as the king of all poisons. Nevertheless, Jimong concocted a new poison liquid, claiming it to be a recently discovered formula that surpassed even the potency of his previous poison, which he had once given to Guinong. The scene shifts to Chen Yu, whom has ascended as the new leader of the Taichi sect after serving as Fu Kong's right-hand man. He addresses the members of the sect, expressing his vision to participate in the upcoming martial arts tournament organized by the Jing Kingdom. Shortly after, Fang Tian arrives at the sect headquarters and seeks Chen Yu's assistance, without revealing the name of the person who forced him to flee Foshan City. Fang Tian asks Chen Yu for financial support, explaining that he needs the funds to continue his escape to northern China. Chen Yu agrees and provides him with the money. With their farewells exchanged, Fang Tian and Fang Yi depart from Chen Yu's headquarters. Meanwhile, Hu Fei continues his journey in search of Yuanzi. By chance, he arrives at the Taichi sect village during a festive banquet, held to celebrate Chen Yu's appointment as the new chairman. However, one of Liao Zio's surviving men recognizes Hu Fei and immediately informs Chen Yu that Hu Fei is the person who tried to kill Fang Tian the previous night. Seeking revenge for his old friend, Chen Yu confronts Hu Fei and invites him to rest in his house. Naively, Hu Fei accepts the invitation and is led to a guest room. However, the servant serving Hu Fei triggers a trap, causing him to fall into a deep cave. Upon regaining consciousness, Hu Fei explores the cave and overhears Chen Yu's voice from above. Realizing that Chen Yu was a friend of Fang Tian, Hu Fei becomes angry and challenges Chen Yu to a fight. While exploring the cave further, Hu Fei unexpectedly encounters another trapped individual named Sun Feng. Sun Feng introduces himself as Chen Yu's senior master and explains how he ended up locked in the cave. 2 years prior, Chen Yu sought to learn the secret techniques of the Taichi sect, specifically the chaos spells and yin and yang spells. Chen Yu requested Sun Dao, the head of Taiki University, to teach him these sciences. However, Sun Dao recognized Chen Yu's negative nature and refused to impart his knowledge to him. Chen Yu ruthlessly kills Sun Dao and his entire family, sparing only Sun Dao Princess, who survives. Sun Feng arrives at Sun Dao's house and is shocked to find his younger brother lifeless. Filled with rage, Sun Feng seeks vengeance against Chen Yu, but is defeated and imprisoned in the cave. Hu Fei realizes that the cave has no footholds except at the top, making it challenging to climb. He seeks guidance from Sun Feng on how to escape. Sun Feng explains that climbing to the top is extremely difficult, and he has always failed in his attempts. However, he agrees to teach Hu Fei the technique of creating footholds on the cave wall. Hu Fei must carefully understand and follow the patterns of the rock formations, as any wrong move will cause the footholds to disappear. After grasping the theory of creating footholds, Hu Fei successfully climbs to the top of the cave and rescues Sun Feng. Sun Feng reveals that the next day is Chen Yu's inauguration as the head of the Taichi sect. He plans to expose Chen Yu's crimes before the assembled guests during the ceremony. During the inauguration ceremony, Chen Yu welcomes martial artists from different sects, as well as his fellow Jing royal officials serving Fu Kong. Just as the procession is underway, Sun Feng arrives and accuses Chen Yu of killing Sun Dao, the former head of Taichi College. Chen Yu, displaying his cunning nature, demands evidence and attacks Sun Feng. Hu Fei intervenes to fight against Chen Yu, but is quickly defeated due to his lack of martial arts skills. Unexpectedly, a man named Zhao Ban appears, showcasing his powerful thousand punch technique. He brings with him a young girl named Xiaomai, who is Sun Dao's daughter. Xiaomai courageously testifies before everyone, exposing Chen Yu's heinous act of murdering her family. It is revealed that Zhao Ban is a member of the Taichi sect, specifically from the northern school, while Chen Yu represents the southern school. Zhao Ban discovers Chen Yu's malicious intentions of learning the forbidden chaos spells and yin and yang spells, ultimately leading to the demise of his own master. In a surprising twist, Zhao Ban announces that he will teach Chen Yu the two secret arts right then and there. Zhao Ban explains the theories behind the two sciences to the assembled crowd, including Chen Yu and an intrigued Hu Fei, who secretly contemplates how to utilize these arts to defeat Chen Yu. And indeed, Zhao Ban realizes that Hu Fei is not a genuine student of Taichi College. Initially, Zhao Ban had unknowingly taught Hu Fei, mistaking him for a member of the Taichi school. Zhao Ban is amazed at how Hu Fei, without a solid foundation in Taichi techniques, managed to grasp the theories and learn the two secret arts. Hu Fei, feeling guilty for deceiving Zhao Ban, assures him that he will not recklessly use the Taichi punch without their permission in the future. With their understanding reached, Zhao Ban and Hu Fei continue their journey together, with Zhao Ban imparting further teachings and guidance to Hu Fei. The two of them forge a deep bond as they share their martial arts knowledge and experiences. Meanwhile, Hu Fei carries the weight of his newly acquired skills, vowing to use them responsibly and for the greater good. As their adventure continues, Hu Fei and Zhao Ban face various challenges, encounter new friends and foes, and strive to maintain the balance between justice and personal growth in the martial arts world. However, Zhao Ban had a suggestion for Hu Fei. He encouraged Hu Fei to continue practicing and developing his skills because he saw that Hu Fei was a brave and righteous swordsman. Impressed by Hu Fei's abilities, Zhao Ban even invited him to become blood brothers, and they made their vows in front of Sun Dao's altar. Afterward, Zhao Ban had to leave for other business, but before he left, he gave Hu Fei a special plaque from the Association of Kung Fu Universities. Zhao Ban explained that this plaque could be used by Hu Fei to seek help from any member of the association if he ever needed assistance, as the members were scattered throughout China. Zhao Ban also left a letter from his leader for Xiaomai, which he wanted Hu Fei to deliver to Mao Feng. Sun Feng and Xiaomai invited Hu Fei to join them on their journey. However, they encountered bad weather along the way and had to find shelter in an empty house. To their surprise, they were bothered by ghosts, but it turned out that these ghosts were actually three people in disguise. They admitted that they pretended to be ghosts to scare people and steal their money. Sometime later, Hu Fei and the others reached their destination and were greeted by Mao Feng, who was a close friend of the leader of the Red Flower Association. However, when Mao Feng opened the letter from the association, he was suddenly attacked by poisonous smoke that came out of it. The smoke instantly blinded Mao Feng's eyes. Everyone was puzzled by this unexpected turn of events. Hu Fei eventually realized that the letter given to him by Zhao Ban had been switched by the disguised ghosts during their encounter the previous night. Just then, three warriors appeared, intent on taking Mao Feng's life. It turned out that these warriors were Genong's men, sent to carry out their mission. In the aftermath, Hu Fei and Mao Feng successfully defeated two of the swordsmen, but one managed to escape. Mao Feng rushed to a room and rescued the Wei Dao altar board from the flames. To Hu Fei's surprise, he discovered his father's nameplate, which had been guarded by Miao Dang all this time. Meanwhile, the warrior who escaped reported the mission's failure to Tao, who in turn informed Guinong. Guinong was furious upon hearing the news. In order to find a cure for Mao Feng's blindness, Sun Feng suggested seeking out a master of poisons who resided near the lake. It was rumored that this poison expert was elusive and hard to find. Hu Fei volunteered to search for the poison master, and Xiaomai decided to accompany him on this mission. The following day, Hu Fei and Xiaomai arrived at a forest and sought directions to a man named Mi Rongjai. However, Mi Rongji showed no interest in helping them. Unbeknownst to them, Mi Rongji was the first disciple of the poison master Gongshi. Undeterred, Hu Fei and Xiao Mai continued their journey and encountered a girl tending to a garden. This girl turned out to be Ling Shui, the fourth student of Gongshi. They asked Ling Shui for directions to the Valley of Poisoners. Instead of giving them direct guidance, Ling Shui requested Hu Fei's assistance with her gardening. Hu Fei gladly obliged, helping Ling Shui until the sun began to set. As a token of appreciation, Ling Shui gave Hu Fei and Xiao Mai a few blue flowers and pointed them toward the Valley of Poisoners. Elsewhere, Mi Rongji was searching through a drawer in search of a book, but suddenly lost consciousness. Shortly thereafter, Ling Shui discovered the unconscious Mi Rongji and extracted a needle from his body. As Hu Fei and Xiao Mai approached the cottage surrounded by red flowers, they fell unconscious due to the poisonous fumes emitted by the flowers. Jiang San and his wife Sui, who resided in the cottage, were responsible for planting these poisonous flowers. They were both disciples of Gongshi, the poison master, and had a son named Mu. When Hu Fei regained consciousness, he stepped cautiously into the red flower garden and tried to communicate with the inhabitants inside the cottage. However, Xiao Mai suddenly fell unconscious from the poison. Surprisingly, Hu Fei himself remained unaffected. It dawned on him that the blue flowers given to him by Ling Shui were not only an antidote, but also acted as protection against the red flower's poison. After Xiao Mai woke up, she was hesitant to eat or drink anything due to her fear of being poisoned again. Hu Fei, on the other hand, trusted that Ling Shui had helped them and wouldn't harm them. They decided to return to Ling Shui's cottage, where she had already prepared food for them in anticipation of their return. Soon after, Ling Shui witnessed her beloved blue flower garden being set ablaze by Mu. Hu Fei and Ling Shui worked together to extinguish the flames. They introduced themselves and formed a bond. Meanwhile, Mu received treatment from his parents for being exposed to Ling Shui's poison. When they assessed the situation, they discovered a hidden message embedded in a secret weapon. The message was from Mi Rongji, who invited them to meet at a specific location. Ling Shui asked Hu Fei for assistance and entrusted him with a task. Hu Fei agreed and followed her instructions, carrying a basket to a designated spot. Ling Shui instructed him to remain silent and not take any action. Before long, Jiang San and Sui arrived, calling out for Mi Rongji. Surprisingly, Mi Rongji emerged from the very basket that Hu Fei had carried earlier. Confused and disoriented, Mi Rongji found himself confronted by Jiang San and Sui, who demanded antidotes from him. They presented a message they claimed to have received, which was attached to a tree trunk. However, Mi Rongji denied having written that particular message. Given their history of hostility, Jiang San and Sui dismissed Mi Rongji's denial and a fierce battle ensued. During the fight, Mi Rongji noticed Ling Shui's presence. Ling Shui, being called upon, was then asked by all three parties to hand over the records of Gongshi's poison material science. Ling Shui also revealed the last message left by their master, Gongshi. In a bold act of defiance, Ling Shui refused to hand over Gongshi's scientific records to the ungrateful trio of Mi Rongji, Jiang San, and Sui. However, when Mi Rongji read the message enclosed in the paper, he suddenly fainted, as it was laced with poison. Just then, Hu Fei emerged from his hiding spot and swiftly came to Ling Shui's aid, preventing Jiang San and Sui from harming her. A fierce confrontation ensued between the three combatants, but Jiang San and Sui managed to escape from the scene. Ling Shui, however, scolded Hu Fei for disregarding her previous advice not to intervene. She revealed that Hu Fei's palm had been poisoned by Jiang San and Sui's toxic footprint attack. After tending to Hu Fei's hand, Ling Shui revealed her plan to apprehend Jiang San and Sui. However, Hu Fei intervened and disrupted her strategy. Nevertheless, Ling Shui asked Hu Fei to touch her poisoned cloth, which would paralyze Jiang San and Sui upon contact. Ling Shui then shared the history of the discord between Mi Rongji, Jiang San, and Sui. She explained that Gongshi had entrusted her with the responsibility of resolving the conflict among them. Together, Hu Fei and Ling Shui brought the unconscious Mu Rongjia to meet Wang, the caretaker of the cottage where Jiang San and Sui were residing. With blue flowers in their hands to protect against the poison, they entered the red flower cottage. Inside, Jiang San and Sui were tending to Mu, who had been affected by Ling Shui's potent 7-liver poison. Meanwhile, outside the cottage, Ling Shui lit a poisonous candle and lowered it down the chimney. As the toxic fumes took effect, Jiang San and Sui succumbed to unconsciousness. With Wang's help, Hu Fei, Ling Shui, and Wang entered the basement to assist Mu, who was suffering from poisoning. Ling Shui administered an antidote not only to Jiang San and Sui, but also to Mu. Soon, Jiang San and Sui regained consciousness and realized Ling Shui's kindness for saving Mu's life. Driven by his desire for revenge, Wang confronted Jiang San, who had previously beaten him so severely that he had fractured 3 ribs. Jiang San had also forced Wang to build the cottage. As they were about to leave, Ling Shui requested that Jiang San and Sui reconcile with the still unconscious Mu Rongji, who was kept in the basket. Ling Shui had left an antidote for Mu Rongji as well. The next day, Hu Fei shared with Ling Shui the story of Mao Feng's blindness caused by poison. Ling Shui agreed to help treat Mao Feng and went to prepare for their journey. While packing, Ling Shui remembered her master, Gong Shi, who had entrusted her with a special box. Gong Shi had also advised Ling Shui to protect their sect. Ling Shui lit incense in honor of Gong Shi and then left the Poison Valley to assist Hu Fei. Meanwhile, Guinong gathered a group of 4 skilled swordsmen in the Celestial Dragon sect to aid him in his plan to eliminate Mao Feng. Initially, they hesitated to attack Mao Feng, knowing how strong he was. However, upon learning that Mao Feng had lost his sight, they saw an opportunity to strike. Mao Feng and Sun Feng had taken refuge in a cave, anticipating another attack from their enemies. In the evening, Mao Feng tended to his daughter, who had fallen ill with a fever. Concerned for her well-being, Mao Feng asked Sun Feng to go to the city the next day and buy medicine. Meanwhile, Hu Fei noticed that Xiaomai, who used to be allergic to flowers, had miraculously overcome her allergy. Xiaomai happily shared this news with Ling Shui, thanking her for the pill that had cured her. During the night, Hu Fei found himself lost in thoughts, pondering the whereabouts of Yu and Zi. Xiaomai, wanting to find a comfortable place to rest, discovered Hu Fei's family martial arts book in his bag. Curious, she asked about the book. Ling Shui, who had a deep understanding of Hu Fei's feelings, gently asked Xiaomai to go to sleep and not tease Hu Fei further. Ling Shui had a keen ability to read Hu Fei's emotions and always knew what was in his heart. The next day, Guinong led his group of warriors, along with his troops, on a mission to kill Mao Feng. Meanwhile, Sun Feng, on his way to the market to buy medicine, made a stop at Mao Feng's house to collect money for the purchase. As the clash of swords echoed, Sun Feng was attacked by the swordsman, and the sound reached Mao Feng's ears. Without hesitation, Mao Feng rushed to his house to aid Sun Feng. Despite his strength, Mao Feng faced the challenge of caring for his daughter while being unable to see, leaving him overwhelmed. Fortunately, Hu Fei returned just in time and offered his assistance. Tao, who had witnessed the defeat of his swordsman, quickly reported it to Guinong. Enraged by the news, Guinong and his troops confronted Mao Feng. Sensing Mao Feng's emotional state, Hu Fei restrained him and chose to duel Guinong himself. However, Hu Fei struggled to keep up with Guinong's superior sword skills. Recognizing this, Mao Feng provided guidance to help Hu Fei unleash the full potential of his swordsmanship. In the end, Hu Fei managed to defeat Guinong. After the fight, Guinong revealed his reason for wanting to kill Mao Feng. It was because Mao Feng had prevented Nan Lan from seeing her daughter, causing her immense sadness and resulting in a miscarriage. Guinong challenged Mao Feng to kill him, but Mao Feng chose to forgive him, declaring an end to their friendship. After receiving treatment from Ling Shui, Mao Feng's eyes gradually regained their sight. Ling Shui had used a concoction of potions, incorporating the poison of the 7 hearts, to heal his eyes. She explained that when the poison of the 7 livers is prepared in the right combination, it can be transformed into a potent healing elixir. With his vision restored, Mao Fang's gratitude towards Ling Shui grew, while Hu Fei pondered on how to avenge his parents' deaths. He dedicated himself to mastering his father's swordsmanship, striving to become stronger. In the meantime, Guinong, feeling ashamed of his failure to reunite Nanlan with her daughter, decided not to return home. Tao reminded them of the letter they possessed, written by the leader of their organization and intended for Mao Fang. With this in mind, they set off for the capital to deliver the letter to the Jing Kingdom. Sometime later, Fu Kong wasted no time and swiftly presented the letter to Emperor Qianlong. The contents of the letter revealed the plot of the Kung Fu Colleges Association to launch an attack during the martial arts tournament organized by the Jing Kingdom. Emperor Qianlong expressed his disappointment, having previously shown mercy to the association, only to have them rise against him once again. However, the emperor was pleased with Fu Kong's achievements in obtaining such crucial information. In gratitude, Emperor Qianlong bestowed upon Fu Kong a gift of a sword. Afterward, Fu Kong met with Guinong and commended him for delivering the letter. As a token of appreciation, Fu Kong presented Guinong with a jade ring, emphasizing that it was a direct gift from Emperor Qianlong himself. Meanwhile, Ling Shui noticed Hu Fei's distant behavior and confronted him about it. Although Hu Fei insisted that he was fine, Ling Shui could see through his facade. She admonished him, reminding him of his initial honest, innocent, and somewhat foolish nature when they'd first met. The following day, Mao Fang approached Hu Fei, questioning if he was the boy who had helped her at the Shang family's home 6 years ago. Mao Fang started suspecting that Hu Fei was capable of performing all the Wei Dao swordsmanship. However, Hu Fei evaded the question and lied, claiming that he had never met Mao Fang before. Shortly after, Ling Shuai found Hu Fei lost in thought on the terrace. Ling Shuai had previously discovered Hu Fei's family's kung fu book in his bag, prompting her to inquire about his lies to Mao Fang. Unable to keep up the charade, Hu Fei finally confessed to Ling Shuai that Mao Fang was the murderer of his parents. He also revealed his true motive for helping treat Mao Fang's eyes. He wanted to openly avenge his parents' deaths and not take advantage of Mao Fang's blindness. While in the imperial capital, Guinong held a grand banquet, proudly showcasing the emperor's gift ring in front of the noble and royal attendees. This display elevated Guinong's status and gained him admiration within the royal community. The following day, Mao Fang finally admitted that he knew Hu Fei was Wei Dao's son. Ling Shui, who happened to be in the kitchen, overheard their conversation. Hu Fei confessed his true identity and questioned Mao Fang about the murder of his parents. Mao Fang couldn't provide an answer and only handed Wei Dao's sword to Hu Fei. He then challenged Hu Fei to defeat him before revealing the truth. After a fierce and evenly matched fight, Hu Fei once again demanded an explanation for why Mao Fang, who was once friendly with his father, killed him. Yet Mao Fang remained unable to provide an answer, and instead asked Hu Fei to kill him in order to avenge his parents. In the end, Hu Fei, despite swinging his sword, couldn't bring himself to take Mao Fang's life. Frustrated, Hu Fei walked towards his parents' altar. With tears in his eyes, Hu Fei apologized, feeling remorseful for being unable to fulfill the act of revenge. Shortly after, Ling Shui came to see Hu Fei and recounted the events from 6 years ago. At that time, Ling Shui was being treated by her master, who was a poison master. Gong Shi was the poison master Mao Fang had visited, suspecting that the poison from Gong Shi had taken Wei Dao's life. However, the arrogant Gong Shi refused to explain to Mao Fang, and Mao Fang's own arrogance prevented him from further inquiries. They couldn't determine who had actually poisoned Wei Dao's sword. Ling Shui firmly expressed her support for Hu Fei's belief that Mao Fang didn't kill his parents. With this newfound knowledge, they decided to travel to the capital to investigate the poison case. They left without informing Mao Fang, and Ling Shui assured Hu Fei that Mao Fang's eyes would recover soon. Xiao Mai and Sun Feng also crossed paths with them as they were leaving, urging them to return quickly. After returning home, Guinong proudly displayed his ring in front of his fellow swordsmen and hosted a celebratory feast to commemorate his accomplishment. However, Nanlan chose not to attend the event. In the meantime, Mao Fang's vision gradually improved, allowing him to see his daughter once again. Xiao Mai informed Mao Fang that Hu Fei and Ling Shui had traveled to the capital. Mao Fang immediately went to Wei Dao's altar and expressed his gratitude for finding a son in Hu Fei who possessed exceptional martial arts skills. Mao Fang believed that Hu Fei would become a revered champion, defending truth and justice throughout China. When Hu Fei arrived at the capital, he was unexpectedly approached by a man named Chang, who invited him to a luxurious mansion. Chang claimed to be serving his master's instructions, but didn't reveal the master's identity. Upon entering the mansion, Hu Fei and Ling Shui were treated to a hot bath by the servants. Hu Fei couldn't help but wonder who this wealthy person could be, as the only wealthy individual he knew was Fang Tian, who held hostility towards him. After the bath, Hu Fei found himself in a state of panic as the servants attempted to help him dress. To their amusement, Hu Fei and Ling Shui ended up wearing outfits that resembled wedding attire. To add to the surprise, Chang presented them with the documents of the entire mansion. Hu Fei's suspicion grew as he questioned the origins of these belongings. Determined to uncover the truth, he decided to investigate further, paying particular attention to the steward who was responsible for distributing numerous paintings of his face throughout the city. After some time, Hu Fei made the decision to sell off all the properties and assets bestowed upon him. The money raised from the sale was then distributed among the hundreds of servants. Hu Fei instructed them to further distribute the remaining funds to those in need. This unexpected turn of events caused Chun to panic, prompting him to report the situation to Tang Bai. It was revealed that Tang Bai was a friend of Fang Tian, and it was Fang Tian's possessions that had been used to provide Hu Fei with lavish gifts. Their initial motive had been to lure Hu Fei with wealth, but their plan backfired as Hu Fei chose to sell everything instead. Tang Bai admitted that Hu Fei was not easily swayed by material riches. While Hu Fei and Ling Shui resumed their simple life, they made efforts to evade Chang's pursuit. Ling Shui came up with a plan to disguise Hu Fei by cutting her own hair and creating a fake mustache and beard for him using a special powder. With their new appearance, they sought refuge in an inn for the night, sharing a single room. During their stay, Hu Fei accidentally witnessed Ling Shui feeling unwell and taking a pill. The following day, as they left the inn, Ling Shui realized she had left her pill behind. However, their room had been occupied by a person named Su Cheng. Hu Fei explained their situation to Su Cheng, expressing their need to retrieve the medicine. Fortunately, the pill was discovered by a woman named Ma Chun, who promptly returned it to Hu Fei and Ling Shui. Much to Hu Fei's surprise, he recognized Ma Chun and removed his fake beard and mustache. He revealed his true identity as Hu Fei, a close friend from their childhood. Ma Chun was delighted to see Hu Fei, now grown into a handsome and somewhat foolish young man. Their reunion was interrupted by the arrival of a group of self-proclaimed robbers led by Sang Bao, positioned atop a hill. Su Cheng attempted to dissuade Hu Fei from engaging in a fight, but Hu Fei chose to confront the robbers in order to protect Su Cheng's twin sons, Bu and Bao. In a display of his martial skills, Hu Fei successfully defeated the robbers, ensuring the safety of the children and impressing those present. When the situation grew chaotic, Su Cheng and Hu Fei found themselves under attack once again. In the midst of the turmoil, they sustained serious injuries and sought refuge in the inn. Fortunately, Ling Shui came to their aid, using poison bombs to fend off the enemy forces who were attempting to enter the inn. However, as night fell, Sang Bao grew impatient and ordered his men to shoot arrows, causing the inn to catch fire. In the midst of the chaos, Bao's colleague intervened, urging Bao to cease the attack as there were innocent lives, including Bu and Bao, inside the burning inn. Eventually, Sang Bao called out to Ma Chun, recognizing her as the daughter of Shang. He reminded her of her involvement with Fu Kong 6 years ago. It became apparent that Bu and Bao were the two Fu Kong that Sang Bao had come to retrieve. In the midst of the heartbreaking scene, Su Cheng bid a final farewell to Bu and Bao, his beloved adopted sons. He expressed his gratitude to Ma Chun, who had stood by his side as his devoted wife. With his last breath, Su Cheng departed from the world. His passing stirred a fierce determination in Ma Chun to uncover the truth. Hu Fei swiftly intervened, preventing Sang Bao from harming Mu Chen. In a fit of rage, Ma Chun took a knife and repeatedly stabbed Sang Bao, seeking vengeance for the death of her father, Sing Kong, 6 years ago, as well as Su Cheng's demise. The room was filled with the weight of their emotions and the realization of their long-held grievances. The following day, Ma Chun bid farewell to Su Cheng at his funeral and embarked on a journey with Bao and Bu to meet their father, Fu Kong. Meanwhile, Fang Tian expressed his worries to Tang Bai about Hu Fei's sudden disappearance. Fearful of Hu Fei's potential revenge, Fang Tian sought reassurance. Tang Bai reassured Fang Tian and invited him to the capital for a martial arts tournament hosted by Commander-in-Chief Fu Kong. In the meantime, the poison god received complaints from Gaetnong about his ineffective poison and discovered that Ling Shuwei possessed the knowledge to cure it. The poison god also suspected that Ling Shuwei had mastered the deadly poison of the 7 hearts. Intent on finding Gongxi's disciples, the poison god arrived at the Poison Valley and confessed to Zhang San Sui and Mi Rongjie that he had killed Gongxi. Boasting about his prowess in the art of poison, the poison god taunted them for their master's easy defeat. He proposed that they serve him as their new master, but they rejected the offer and launched an attack to avenge their beloved master. However, lacking sufficient martial skills, the disciples were forced to retreat from the formidable poison god. Determined to seek revenge, they devised a plan to feign acceptance of the poison god as their teacher, only to strike back unexpectedly. After accepting the poison god as their master, the disciples soon discovered that he had poisoned them. They planned to attack him, but the poison god revealed that they had been exposed to his poison and would die within 15 minutes. He offered them a chance to fight for an antidote, but only Sui and Mi Rongji were able to obtain the pills. However, they soon realized that the pills contained not only the antidote, but also additional poison. The poison god warned them not to cross him and instructed them to find Ling Shui, who had mastered the poison of the 7 hearts. Meanwhile, Ma Chun was finally reunited with Fu Kong after 6 years of separation. Fu Kong was overjoyed to see his 2 sons. In another part of the city, a girl named Fai, who was Yuanzi's junior, had her belongings stolen by 2 robbers. Fai tried to retrieve her items, and with the help of Yuanzi, they managed to recover them. They then brought the items to their master, Bai Xiao. Bai Xiao accompanied her 2 students to Fu Kong's house. Upon arrival, Bai Xiao met Fu Kong's mother, Fu Yi, who was suffering from a sore and itchy neck. Bai Xiao presented a lotus flower she had plucked from the mountains, which had medicinal properties. After Yuan Zai prepared the medicine and gave it to Fu Yi, she immediately felt its effectiveness. Fu Yi invited Bai Xiao and her 2 students to stay in her house until her illness was completely cured. On the other hand, Fang Tian arrived in the capital and brought Tang Bai to live in a house owned by Commander Fu Kong. Tang Bai informed Fang Tian that the house was located next to Fu Kong's main residence. Fang Tian was also introduced to several other officials. Meanwhile, Hu Fei returned to the capital with Ling Shui, and they were walking around the city. Not far from them, Yuanzi and Fai were also strolling. When Hu Fei pulled Ling Shui to avoid a passing stretcher procession, he caught a glimpse of Yuan Zai looking in his direction. However, Yuanzi disappeared in an instant. Just as Hu Fei and Ling Shui were about to leave, they were approached by Tang Bei's men who invited them to an event. Reluctant to decline, Hu Fei decided to attend the gathering. He was welcomed with great hospitality. During the event, Fang Tian suddenly appeared and introduced himself as a friend of Tang Bai. Learning that he had been deceived into making peace with Fang Tian, Hu Fei became emotional. He refused to reconcile with Fang Tian, as nothing could replace the lives of the 4 Zhang family members who had been killed by him. A fierce battle broke out between Hu Fei and Tang Bei's men, while Fang Tian managed to escape and hide outside the house. Bai Xiao arrived and ordered Hu Fei to leave the premises. Yuanzi, taking Bai Xiao's place, confronted Hu Fei and engaged him in combat. Hu Fei could only defend himself against Yuan Zi's attacks. Just in time, Ling Shui and Xia Mai caught up with Hu Fei. Yuan Zi reminded Hu Fei that they were in Commander Fu Kong's residence and urged him not to cause trouble that could bring serious consequences. Although agreeing to retreat from the location, Hu Fei demanded an explanation for Yuan Zi's unwavering protection of Fang Tian. Yuan Zi hinted that there was a complicated story behind it, but asked Hu Fei to step back for the time being. Later in the evening, a soldier invited Hu Fei to Fu Kong's residence, claiming that Ma Chun missed him. Upon arriving, Ma Chun confessed that she disliked living in the palace, despite being in love with Fu Kong. She revealed that the reason she stayed there was to ensure the well-being of Bao and Buo. Ma Chun asked Hu Fei to become a martial arts teacher for Bao and Buo, seeking his help in guiding their training. Soon after, Fu Kong arrived and was taken aback by the presence of Hu Fei, whom he didn't recognize. Despite Ma Chun introducing Hu Fei as her younger brother and only relative, Fu Kong's jealousy was evident. Hu Fei was escorted out of Fu Kong's home by Ma Chun's warrior. However, he was stopped by soldiers bearing a gift box from Fu Kong. The soldiers insisted that Hu Fei accept the gift to avoid the commander-in-chief's anger. Ma Chun attempted to receive the box but fell into a trap, losing her life in an instant. Hu Fei swiftly fought back against the attacking soldiers and captured one for interrogation. The soldier revealed that Fu Kong was not pleased with Hu Fei's encounter with Ma Chun. Fu Kong ordered his men to capture and kill Hu Fei. Determined to uncover the truth, Hu Fei sneaked in to observe Fu Kong's activities. He coincidentally overheard Fu Kong conversing with his mother, Fu Yi. Hu Fei discovered that Fu Yi intended to kill Mu Chen. In a rush to save Mu Chen, Hu Fei interrupted as Fu Yi tried to poison her. However, Fu Yi stopped Fu Kong, stating that a commoner like Mu Chen was unfit for their family. Concerned for Ma Chun's safety, Hu Fei found her unconscious and carried her away from the pursuing soldiers. News of Ma Chun's condition reached Fu Kong, leading him to order Hu Fei's capture. Meanwhile, Bai Xiao learned of the situation and instructed Yuan Zi to investigate the matter further. Hu Fei successfully fought off the soldiers and brought Ma Chun back to his house, where Ling Shui examined her condition. Ling Shui identified the type of poison using the spoon brought by Hu Fei and provided a life-saving pill that would sustain Ma Chun for 2 hours. Afterward, Ling Shui administered acupuncture to Ma Chun, emphasizing the importance of remaining completely still for the next 24 hours to prevent any harm to her vital energy. With patrols lurking around every street, immediate treatment for Ma Chun became challenging. Ling Shui proposed a plan to sneak into the Hua sect, a place where soldiers would not dare to investigate. Within the Hua sect, divided into 5 factions, they observed Xiao Feng, the leader of one of the factions, giving orders to his men. As the night progressed, the Hua sect prepared for a battle to determine their new chairman. Xiao Feng, one of the participants, concealed his identity with a face covering to closely observe his competitors. After leaving the room, Xiao Feng issued detailed instructions to his men before finding a hiding spot in a rock crevice. However, as he entered the crevice, Ling Shui swiftly incapacitated him, rendering him unable to speak or move. In the meantime, Hu Fei faced difficulties in further infiltrating the competition due to the large crowd gathered in front of him. The eldest member of the Hua sect explained that the sect had been divided into 5 factions, and the purpose of the competition was to select a new chairman who could reunite the sect. Determined to participate, Hu Fei watched the matches closely, studying the kung fu style of the Hua sect. Expressing his desire to compete, Hu Fei presented himself under a pseudonym while wearing Xiao Feng's face covering. In the end, Hu Fei emerged as the victor and was elected as the new chairman, ensuring Ma Chun's well-being in the process. However, the elder of the Hua sect became suspicious of Hu Fei, recognizing that he merely imitated their kung fu moves without truly mastering them. To prove his legitimacy as a disciple of the Hua sect, the elders challenged Hu Fei to demonstrate one of their fundamental techniques. Overwhelmed by the request and having no knowledge of the technique, Hu Fei fell silent. In his desperate moment, Ling Shui exchanged a knowing smile with the still incapacitated Xiao Feng. Soon, Xiao Feng entered the arena to dispel the doubts of the Hua sect elders. He confirmed that Hu Fei was his senior and took over to demonstrate the authentic kung fu moves of the Hua sect. With his support, Hu Fei was finally recognized as the new chairman. Meanwhile, Ma Chun received the necessary treatment in a dedicated room. The following day, Ling Shui cautioned Hu Fei about Ma Chun's acupuncture therapy, emphasizing the importance of not moving for the next 24 hours. Outside, wanted posters of Hu Fei were being distributed among the royal soldiers. Xiaomai intercepted one of these posters and provided Xiao Feng with the periodic antidote pill. She reminded Xiao Feng to maintain their hidden identities. Xiaomai also revealed the wanted posters to Ling Shui and Hu Fei. Ling Shui shared her encounter with Xiao Feng the previous night, explaining how he risked his life by forcefully opening his body's vital points. In response, Ling Shui administered acupuncture to relieve him. However, she lied and claimed that the acupuncture needle contained poison, ultimately compelling Xiao Feng to assist Hu Fei as well. On the other side, the poison god continued his relentless pursuit of Ling Shui. He instructed Mi Rongji and Sui to keep a close watch on the largest and most comprehensive drugstore in the capital. The poison god was convinced that Ling Shui, with her expertise in poison and medicine, would eventually visit the drugstore. Later, Ling Shui realized that Hu Fei had become a fugitive. Once again, she helped him disguise himself to evade detection by the soldiers who were actively searching for him. Shortly thereafter, Hu Fei crossed paths with Xiao Feng and expressed his sincere apologies for his actions. Hu Fei made a vow that if Ma Chun recovered from the poison, he would willingly step down from the chairmanship and return it to Xiao Feng. In the meantime, Sui spotted Ling Shui purchasing medicines at the drugstore. Sui deceitfully informed Ling Shui that Mu was in a state of emergency and led her to a secluded location. Mi Rongji then emerged, and the two of them attempted to corner Ling Shui. Unfortunately, their plan failed, resulting in punishment from the poison god. In response, the poison god tasked them with finding a new chest for him. The poison god had a peculiar penchant for sleeping in coffins, immersing himself in the deadly art of silkworm poison. Ling Shui returned to the Hua sect headquarters, appearing pale and weak. She assured Xiaomai, who was concerned about her, that she was fine. Once Xiaomai left, Ling Shui vomited blood and quickly took a health pill. In that moment, she recalled a conversation from the past with Gong Shi, who had instructed her to regularly take the medicine he had prepared. However, as long as Ling Shui remained within the Poison Valley, surrounded by the soothing aroma of medicinal herbs, she wouldn't require the pill and would be in good health. But if the day came when Ling Shui left the Poison Valley, she would need to take the medicine to prevent her own demise. Returning to the present, Ma Chun regained consciousness and saw Bao and Bu by her side, thanks to Hu Fei's assistance in bringing them back. Meanwhile, Ling Shui informed Hu Fei of her success in purging the poison from Ma Chun's body. When Ma Chun awakened, Hu Fei transferred his inner strength to her through a technique. Just as they were in the midst of this process, Yuan Zi suddenly arrived and requested to see Bao and Buo. Ling Shui informed Yuan Zi that Hu Fei was helping Ma Chun recover and invited her to wait in another room. As Ling Shui lit a candle and placed it on the table, she and Yuan Zi began to exchange praises. Yuan Zi commended Ling Shui as the ideal woman for Hu Fei, while Ling Shui praised Yuan Zi as the perfect match for him. Regrettably, Ling Shui couldn't comprehend why Yuan Zi was adamant about preventing Hu Fei from killing Fang Tian. Yuan Zi proceeded to share the heartbreaking story of her mother, who had served the Fang family and was sexually assaulted by Fang Tian. As a consequence, Yuan Zi's mother was cast out of Fang's household. Although Yuan Zi hadn't realized that Fang Tian was her father at the time, she still didn't want Hu Fei to kill him. Yuan Zi's intention was to keep this truth concealed from Hu Fei, because Fang Tian was the villain whom Hu Fei had despised all along. Yuan Zi feared that if Hu Fei were to discover the connection, their relationship would be compromised. However, the primary reason Yuan Zi believed she couldn't be with Hu Fei was due to her upbringing with Bai Xiao. Furthermore, Yuanzi had taken an oath to become a Buddhist nun, and she didn't want to forsake her commitment to repay Bai Xiao. Yuanzi was taken aback when she saw Ling Shuwei coughing and taking pills. Ling Shuwei then revealed her secret and urged Yuanzi not to disclose it to Hu Fei. Since her childhood, Ling Shuwei had been afflicted by silkworm poison. Although her master could provide temporary relief, the poison had lingered in Ling Shuwei's body for too long, resulting in her current condition. Ling Shuwei explained that once Ma Chun recovered in the next 2 days, she would return to the Poison Valley. Moreover, Ling Shuwei had a life-threatening illness that limited her time, preventing her from expressing her love for Hu Fei, who only saw her as a sister. Yuanzi then disclosed her purpose for coming, which was to take back Bao and Buo in order to gain Fu Kong's trust. She also revealed her true identity and her master's affiliation with the Association of Martial Arts Schools. Due to the Jing Kingdom discovering the letter from the associate leader to Mao Fang, the association altered their plans and sent Bai Xiao on this mission instead. Upon discovering that Yuanzi had taken Bao and Buo without permission, Hu Fei confronted her and demanded an explanation. However, Yuanzi refused to provide one and only promised to return the children within 5 days. Meanwhile, Yuanzi, accompanied by Fei, found themselves being followed by Tang Bei's group. This led to a confrontation where Yuanzi was falsely accused of kidnapping Bao and Buo, resulting in a heated battle. Tragically, Fang Yi was accidentally struck by an attack from his own soldiers, leading to his untimely demise. Fang Qian was overcome with grief at the loss of his mother, shedding tears at her departure. Finally, Fei was captured by Tang Bei's men, but Yuanzi successfully returned with Bao and Buo. Yuanzi informed Bai Xiao about Fei's arrest. Inside the palace, Tang Bai accused Fei of being involved in the kidnapping of Bao and Buo by Hu Fei's group. Fortunately, Bai Xiao and Yuanzi arrived with Bao and Buo, leading to a heated argument between Bai Xiao and Tang Bai. In a fit of rage, Fu Kong ordered Bao and Buo to identify the kidnappers. Without hesitation, they pointed to Fang Tian and Tang Bai as the culprits. Enraged, Fu Kong commanded his soldiers to capture them both. However, Fang Tian put up a fight and managed to escape from Fu Kong's house. Unbeknownst to Fang Tian, Hu Fei was silently trailing him, ready to seek revenge for the Zhang family. Hu Fei swiftly took Fang Tian's life, fulfilling his mission to avenge the Zhang family. Just as Fang Tian drew his last breath, Fu Kong's warriors arrived at the scene, chasing after Fang Tian. Yuanzi also arrived and discovered her deceased father. The following day, Tang Bai sat down to eat his meal in the prison, unaware that the food had been poisoned by Yuanzi. Yuanzi appeared before Tang Bai, revealing that she was the one behind the poisoning. She shared a story from 8 years ago when her mother, after being raped and expelled from the Fang family, encountered a merchant who seemed charitable and kind-hearted. That merchant turned out to be Tang Bai. Yuanzi's mother was initially impressed by Tang Bei's acts of kindness and took a job as a waitress in his house. However, one day, she overheard a conversation between Tang Bai and Fang Tian, where they discussed their wicked deeds. Unfortunately, Yuanzi's mother was caught eavesdropping and was killed by Tang Bai. To make matters worse, at the age of 7, Yuanzi was sold by Tang Bai and ended up in a brothel. In the present moment, Yuanzi confronted Tang Bai, reminding him that his suffering was a result of his own karma for the evil deeds he had committed. Yuanzi left the prison, leaving Tang Bai to face his pain alone, which eventually led to his demise. Meanwhile, Hu Fei burned prayer papers, expressing to the late Zhang that he had successfully avenged himself by killing Fang Tian. On the other hand, Ling Shuwei contemplated taking a pill, but only 3 grains of the bell pill remained. Determined to accompany Hu Fei, Ling Shuwei opened her master's notebook and studied how to create her own healing pills. After gaining the knowledge, Ling Shuwei and Xiaomai ventured to the mountain map located in the capital. The following day, they embarked on a journey down Mount Rijin in search of frozen dew grass. As they reached for the grass, both of them suddenly collapsed on the spot. At that moment, Mi Rongji and Sui appeared. It turned out that the poison god had poisoned the frost grass. However, Ling Shui quickly regained consciousness and launched an attack. She had anticipated the trap by giving Xiaomai a healing pill and pretending to faint from the poison. Unfortunately, despite Ling Shui's efforts to control the situation, the poison god suddenly appeared at the scene. Realizing the danger, Ling Shui instructed Xiaomai to escape. Meanwhile, Yuan Zi, who was distracted while praying, was scolded by Bai Xiao. Bai Xiao advised Yuan Zi not to avoid conflicts and encouraged her to resolve her issues by meeting Hu Fei. Upon arriving at Hu Fei's residence, Yuan Zi witnessed Hu Fei approaching Xiaomai in a state of panic. Xiaomai urgently informed Hu Fei that Ling Shui's life was in peril on Ridgeon Mountain. Meanwhile, Ling Shui discovered that the poison god was actually Gong Shi's younger brother. The poison god presented Ling Shui with two options: surrender the Seven Hearts poison and serve him, or engage in a fight. Refusing to give up, Ling Shui tried to defend herself. However, she ended up injured and coughing up blood, prompting her to consume all the remaining soul recovery pills. Fortunately, Hu Fei arrived just in time and fought against the three villains. In the end, the poison god and his allies sustained severe injuries and fled from the scene. Afterwards, Ling Shui reassured Hu Fei that she would be fine and asked him to meet Yuan Zi, handing him a wooden comb as a message. However, when Hu Fei met Yuan Zi, she unexpectedly requested him to give the wooden comb to Ling Shui instead. Yuan Zi expressed that Ling Shui had made many sacrifices for Hu Fei. Furthermore, Yuan Zi revealed that Fang Tian was her father, leaving Hu Fei stunned and at a loss for words. Yuan Zi stated that Fang Tian deserved to die, but he was still her father, bidding farewell to Hu Fei. Consumed by sadness, Hu Fei wandered alone amidst the Lantern Festival. He tied the wooden comb to a lantern and released it into the sky, symbolically letting go of the memories shared with Yuan Zi. The following day, feeling hopeless, Hu Fei contemplated leaving the capital behind. Ling Shui firmly rejects the idea of leaving and expresses her determination to stay until the final Emperor Martial Arts tournament, driven by her mission to investigate and put an end to the evil acts of the poison god. Ling Shui suspects that the death of Hu Fei might be connected to the poison god. Meanwhile, Mao Fang decides to pay his respects to commemorate the anniversary of Wei Dao's passing and leaves his daughter under the protection of Sun Feng. As Mao Fang enters the mountain cave, he is devastated to find Wei Dao's tomb uncovered and the crescent sword missing. Unbeknownst to Mao Fang, Guinong has obtained the crescent sword and takes great pleasure in its sharpness. Under the cover of night, Mao Fang infiltrates and defeats the warriors of the Celestial Dragon sect. To his shock, he discovers that his daughter has also been taken by Guinong, and Sun Feng, who was entrusted to guard her, has been killed. Guinong demands Mao Fang's submission, and in a desperate move to protect his daughter, Mao Fang kneels down, discards his sword, and threatens to exact vengeance upon Guinong's family if any harm befalls his daughter. Guinong then lifts up Nan Lan and invites her to see the daughter he has successfully brought back. The following day, Guinong meets Mao Fang, who is imprisoned and filled with anger. They reminisce about their shared past, back when they were just children. However, as time passed, Mao Fang's skills with the sword surpassed everyone else's, causing Guinong to grow jealous and envious. Guinong admits that he had poisoned Wei Dao's sword, carrying out the order given by the poison god, and paying a swordsman to apply the toxic substance to Wei Dao's weapon. Unexpectedly, during the ensuing battle, Wei Dao and Mao Fang ended up swapping weapons, resulting in the innocent Wei Dao being fatally wounded. The day of the martial arts competition arrives, and Guinong bids farewell to Nan Lan as he heads to the capital to answer the call of the Jin Kingdom. On the other side, Nan Lan grows suspicious when she senses that Mao Fang is being held captive in a dungeon cell. With determination, she takes up an axe and releases the chains one by one, even at the cost of injuring her own hand and causing it to bleed. Finally, all the chains restraining Mao Fang are removed, allowing him to unleash his fury upon the members of the Celestial Dragon sect who arrive at the scene. When Nan Lan prepares to escape with her daughter from Gainong's residence, she is confronted by high-ranking members of the Celestial Dragon sect. Fortunately, Mao Fang arrives just in time and swiftly eliminates them all. The martial arts competition takes place at one of Fu Kong's mansions. Warriors from various sects, including Hu Fei disguised as the Hua sect leader, gather for the event. When asked to remove his mask, Hu Fei reveals a mysterious and eerie scar on his face, causing a stir among the onlookers. Fu Kong officiates the tournament, raising a toast to all the participants. The matches follow a knockout format, with the losers losing their nameplates and being demoted. News of each fight is conveyed and announced to the spectators gathered at a banquet shop outside the arena. Hu Fei steps into the arena and effortlessly defeats his opponents. Meanwhile, Gainong receives a report that Mao Fang has escaped from prison and killed all of Gainong's men. Enraged, Gainong vents his anger by shouting in frustration. He proceeds to smear poison on the crescent sword. Meanwhile, Mao Fang bids farewell to his daughter, Nan Lan, and assures her that his life has not been in vain because he has her and their daughter. The scene returns to the arena where Hu Fei celebrates his victories over two formidable martial masters. However, his next opponent is an expert in the art of flying blades, posing a great challenge for Hu Fei. He adopts a more defensive strategy to counter long-range attacks. Nevertheless, with his protagonist's strength, Hu Fei emerges victorious, defeating his opponent. The committee announces the arrival of Commander Fu Kong, who has come to watch the final match. The representative of the Chan San sect is also present, with Yuan Zi standing behind Bai Xiao. Hu Fei is taken aback to see Yuan Zi, who has now become a bald-headed monk. In the next round, Hu Fei finds himself facing off against Yuan Zi, who is now a monk. In the midst of the fight, Hu Fei whispers to Yuan Zi, seeking to know her plan. However, Yuan Zi remains silent and leads the fight to the rooftop. From there, they witness Fu Kong's troops surrounding the competition arena, armed with long-barreled weapons. Their intense battle unintentionally breaks the windows surrounding the arena, revealing the presence of soldiers with fire weapons. The participants now realize that the competition was nothing but a trap. In the chaos, Yuan Zi accidentally falls from the arena, while Gainong and the Poison God have just arrived at the scene. Gainong prepares to face Hu Fei in the final showdown. Sadly, Hu Fei finds himself at a disadvantage against Gainong as he is unable to wield his father's sword, which is currently disguised. Gainong's crescent sword proves to be incredibly sharp, leaving Hu Fei with little opportunity to turn the tide, ultimately leading to his defeat in the fight. As the champion, Gainong claims the coveted Dragon Jade Glass prize he had coveted all along. However, Ling Shui intervenes by shattering the glass, accusing the Poison God as the true culprit responsible for the poisoning, as the Poison God possesses the ability to poison from a distance. The battle rages on between Hu Fei's group and Gainong's forces. Hu Fei suffers another defeat, causing his mask to break and reveal his face to Fu Kong. Fu Kong orders his army to kill Hu Fei immediately upon seeing his face. On the other hand, Gainong discovers that Hu Fei is the son of Wei Dao. He confesses to blinding Mao Fang and poisoning Wei Dao, revealing the extent of his villainous actions. In the midst of the chaos, Mao Fang bursts into the arena, challenging Gainong to a duel. They engage in a discussion about the martial world's code of conduct and the essence of being a true swordsman. With astonishing ease, Mao Fang swiftly kills Gainong. Meanwhile, Bai Xiao takes Fu Kong hostage, but despite this, Fu Kong still orders his army to attack. A brutal battle ensues between the warriors and the royal soldiers armed with fire. Mao Fang then instructs Hu Fei and the others, who are holding Fu Kong captive, to seek refuge in the hall. During this time, Mao Fang recalls the last message from Hu Fei's mother, urging him to always protect Hu Fei. Hu Fei and the others manage to escape through the city gates, using Fu Kong as leverage. As they make their way, Ma Chun leaps in an attempt to catch up with them, but ends up being struck by an arrow. Taking shelter on an island near the capital, Hu Fei and his companions find temporary solace. On the other hand, Emperor Qianlong's frustration and anger grow evident as he struggles to give orders, leaving one of his palace officials bewildered. Ling Shuai administers a pill to Ma Chun, granting her only 2 more hours of life, as the arrow wound is dangerously close to her heart. In the face of this tragic situation, Hu Fei grieves and assures Ling Shui that he accepts her current condition caused by the poison. Shortly after, Hu Fei receives Ma Chun's final message, entrusting it to their twin sons and requesting to be buried alongside Su Cheng. With a smile on her face, Ma Chun takes her last breath, with Fu Kong by her side until the very end. Devastated by Ma Chun's departure, Fu Kong promises to reunite with her in the next life, setting her free. On the other side, Qianlong finally reached a hasty decision. An official from the palace delivered a letter from the emperor, calling for an end to the fighting and the restoration of peace. With this order, Fu Kong bid farewell to his twin sons, who chose not to return to the palace with him. Holding the emperor's letter, Fu Kong left the island accompanied by the high-ranking officials who came to retrieve him. He also ordered the royal forces surrounding Hu Fei and the others to withdraw. The following day, Ling Shui tried to convince Yuan Zi to reconsider her decision to live as a monk. Ling Shui expressed her belief that Yuan Zi had chosen this path out of necessity, rather than true conviction. However, Yuan Zi stood firm in her choice and entrusted Ling Shui with the flower jade badge. Finally, Yuan Zi bid her farewell to Hu Fei. Bao and Bu accompanied by Xiao, Yuan Zi, and Xiao Mai to the Tansan sect. Meanwhile, Hu Fei and Ling Shui returned to the Poison Valley, where they tended to their garden and led a simple and contented life. As time passed, the doors of Hu Fei's heart opened to Ling Shui. Curious about how Ling Shui had managed to cultivate the 7 poisonous hearts, despite her master and the poison god's inability to do so, Hu Fei questioned her. Ling Shui explained that it had happened by chance, but Hu Fei couldn't shake the feeling that it was not mere coincidence, but rather a twist of fate. As they were preparing to return home after gathering herbs, they were suddenly ambushed by the poison god and Ling Shui's 2 senior disciples. Realizing that Hu Fei had been poisoned, Ling Shui swiftly administered an antidote to him. Under threat from the poison god, Ling Shui was forced to surrender the poisoned 7 hearts and the notes of the late Gongxi. With no other choice, Ling Shui presented a note that belonged to her master. However, the suspicious poison god demanded proof that it was the original record of Gongxi. Ling Shui admitted that she had read all the notes, and the poison god discovered a tip on concocting a potent poison by combining 3 different types. Seizing the opportunity, the excited poison god snatched the note from Ling Shui, but to his dismay, he realized that the note had been poisoned by Ling Shui herself. While Ling Shui found herself ambushed by Sui and Mu Rongji, leaving her in a vulnerable position. Witnessing this, Hu Fei was consumed by rage and fought fiercely, managing to kill Mu Rongji and Sui. He also inflicted severe damage on the poison god's eyes, preventing them from escaping. However, during the fight, Hu Fei's hand was scratched by the poison god's poisonous fingernails, exposing him to a deadly mixture of all 3 poisons that was incurable. Overwhelmed with grief, Ling Shui wept and gave Hu Fei a pill. Hu Fei, in his weakened state, expressed to Ling Shui that the time they spent together in the Poison Valley was the happiest period of his life. Suddenly, Hu Fei's body went limp, unable to move or speak. Ling Shui had unknowingly administered an anesthetic pill, which immobilized Hu Fei completely, rendering him unable to move or communicate. Ling Shui made the painful decision to sacrifice herself to save Hu Fei. She drugged Hu Fei, rendering him unconscious, and then proceeded to absorb the poison from his body. Hu Fei could only watch helplessly, tears streaming down his face, as Ling Shui sacrificed her own life to save him. After recovering from the poison, Hu Fei sought vengeance against the poison god. He hunted him down and inflicted a brutal punishment, breaking his bones and veins before setting him on fire. The story concludes with a passage of time, showing Hu Fei, Nan Lan, and their daughter visiting the graves of Wei Dao, Mao Feng, and Ling Shui. They pay their respects and honor the memory of those who had sacrificed themselves for the greater good. And with that, the movie comes to an end, leaving behind a tale of love, sacrifice, and redemption. The moral of the story is that if someone offers you a pill, make sure it's not an anesthetic pill that paralyzes your muscles and leaves you unable to move or speak. Communication is important.